Hi guys, welcome to the foam rolling session. Okay, it's going to be a short session just to give you a little bit of guidance on how to foam roll the different parts of your body. Okay, now why do we foam roll? It's called myofascial release. Okay, what we're doing is putting pressure on the muscle, okay, moving it and hopefully releasing some of those sticky parts of the tissue, okay, that can get built up over inactivity or too much use. Helps loosen off some scar tissue. Okay, and generally makes you feel pretty good. Okay, you can't go wrong with foam rolling. Okay, as long as you're not hurting yourself, you'll probably be doing some form of good. Okay, but I will take you through just some basic moves to get you started, and hopefully, if you can follow along, we'll get through the whole body and you'll feel better afterwards. Right, so starting from the lower body, we're going to start from the calves. Okay, I usually do one at a time. Now, the only thing I do stress with this foam rolling is making sure that you're not putting too much pressure on the muscle. If you put too much pressure on and try and be a hero, you'll end up tightening the muscle up that you want to foam roll, and you won't get any depth and reduce benefits. So start off nice and light, distribute your body weight on your other supporting limbs, and then just start very lightly in the middle of the muscle, gradually work up and down. So what we normally do is about a minute on each part, okay, but you can spend longer depending on tightness in that particular area. Okay, I would recommend spending at least a minute on each body part though. Okay, as you notice, what I'm doing now is I'm actually moving my foot from side to side, so I'm coming up those different heads of the muscle, those different bellies of muscle on the calf. You've got two main ones there, okay, and then you can stop in an area if you feel like that needs a bit more work, and you can just keep the weight of your body pressing down on there. As I said, keep that keep the tension light so you can keep the muscle relaxed. Okay, if you want to, you can stay in one spot and not moving a roller, you can move your body over the area. So I've got a nice little tight spot there, I can work through that. Okay, that's the right calf done. Moving into the right hamstring. Okay, it's useful to get on the end of the roller here and it interferes less with the supporting legs. Okay, again, keep it nice and relaxed, nice and slow. Okay, and get the full range of the muscle. Now I like to get the roller into that crevice, okay, just where all those attachments are into the hip, and work on that area. Okay, but I always recommend using the full length of the muscle. Find out where your tight spots are and work on those. It's a very, very individual thing. As I say, you can do a minute or you can spend longer. If you think you're going to be on it for half an hour, it can stop you getting on it. So if you only say to yourself, well, I do 10 minutes, you're much more likely to do it. Okay, from there, we're going to move up into the glute. Okay, with this one, you need to perch on the foam roller. I'm going to come a bit closer or further away to get in the shot. My tailbone is now perched on the roller. Okay, I then take the side that I want to target and put that foot over the other knee, and then just take a slight angle toward the side that we're working. Okay, now that really does hit a little pocket of muscle in the bum cheek. Okay, now again, you're not forced into a certain area here. You can move around, do what works for you. I often find obviously moving up and down the muscle, but across the muscle quite useful as well. Now there is some tender spots here, so don't overdo it. This is a real nice spot to get. Again, you can just spend a bit of time if you want to put a bit more weight on and hold it into one spot. There's nothing wrong with that. It really is quite an intuitive thing to do. Once you get the confidence to use the roller, and once you know how to use it, as in not putting too much pressure on any part, then you can't go wrong, as long as you're doing it. Okay? So I've worked up to the hips. Okay, we're going to work down the other side. What I'll do now is just turn it a little bit so you can see what it looks like from a slightly different angle. Okay, so I'm going to get on it, perch on it. Okay, work inside up and then twist over onto that working area. Okay, spend again about a minute working through those different angles. For me, I definitely get a little bit more on this side if I come over into that back pocket area. Get some quite tight bundles of tissue there. Okay, so when you're using this, if you're doing this in conjunction with any stretching, you're doing really well. I'll usually try and do some rolling before I do any stretching. That way you can get a little bit more out of the stretch. Oh, yeah, that's good. Okay, so coming down the hamstring. Okay, notice that the roller's on the middle of my legs. I've got this supporting leg and I'm using the weight on my hands and supporting legs. Got someone delivering something. Hang on. It's quite good to be methodical with this, and then at least you know you're getting all the body parts. This is just a quick routine just to get you through main parts of the body which tend to benefit from it. There are loads and loads of other little moves you can do, and I might go through those another time. But for now, I'm just going to get you through a nice basic routine that you can chuck in at the start of the day, end of the day, before you work out. Oh, any time of the day really. It's feeling nice and tight in there. Okay, again, I have a habit of going quite quickly with these, so I have to really slow myself down sometimes and just spend a bit longer working through those tight spots. So a minute is the minimum you really want to spend on each part here. Okay. But by all means spend a bit longer if you have the time, if you want to. The trick is quality over quantity, so you can spend a minute on here stiff and not really do anything, or you can spend a minute nice and relaxed and actually allow the roller to get deep in the tissue that you're trying to work. I'm particularly sore in this area for some reason. Okay, good. So now we're done. Up the backs of the legs, the hips, and down the other side. We need to do the front of the legs now. What does this look like? We're going to use the quads, so we can do the quads and the ITB in one go. Okay. Now again, you can use two legs for this if you want. Okay. I prefer. Let me get in the shot better. I prefer to do one. Okay, one leg, and you can roll around on it a bit then. Okay, so I'll push the roller to the side. So it's literally just on one leg. What I'm doing with the other leg, I'm bringing the knee up to the side, okay? Now, what does that look like? This side. Long leg with the roller underneath it, and then knee up about midway. What that does, enables you to rock on that leg without having to keep moving around. Now, you'll get it. You find a point where the roller is midway up the thigh and the knee is equal height to it. That will enable you to get all the way down to the knee and all the way up to the hip in one move. Okay. Now I can spend days on my quads and thighs. It's a nice way to get those hip flexors stretched out and opened up. And what I'm doing is I'm actually, if you can tell, I'm working up and down and moving my body over the roller. really does get all the angles. Okay, a minute is bare minimum for this for me when I'm doing my quads. Okay, take your time, and then you can go into the ITB. Now this is brutal for some people. Okay, if you haven't done this before, it can be very, very tender. So you don't need to be laying your whole body weight on this like this, because all you'll do is tense up. Use your supporting limbs, your elbow and your foot, and use your hand, and gradually add the weight. You'll get far more benefits from this if you just relax and let the body weight come over the roller. Okay, you want to melt onto the roller. Okay, so I'm pretty much on my side here. This is where the ITB is. It's the iliotibial band, and it's a real tough bit of connective tissue that runs from the hip all the way down to the lower leg. It's a massive contributor to knee pain, even hip and back pain. Okay, now it's such a tough bit of tissue. The likelihood of stretching it out or making any adjustments to the tissue itself is quite small, but what we can do is relieve some of the stickiness and the adhesions underneath it where it sticks to the rest of the muscle. And just putting a bit of pressure on it, it might be just enough just to free it up a little bit. Quite often do this prior to any lower body exercise if you have sore knees, and it works wonders at taking some of that pain out the knee. So we've done the right side, gone on to the quad on this side. Do about a minute on the quad. As I say, for me, bare minimum is a minute. Now this is really working all the muscles of the quad. The quad's called the quad because it's made up of 4 muscles, and they all encompass the front of the leg. Okay, so don't be shy about focusing on the particular angles. You might want to open your hips up and get right on that inside muscle, and then gradually just turning the body over. This can be a little bit awkward if you've not done this before. Be patient, okay, you will find a way of doing it. Just remember that you don't need to be full body weight on it all the time, because that will be too much for you, especially if you've not done it before. Okay, just going to take you onto the side, the ITB on this side. Feel free to pause this at any time if you want to spend longer on each bit before moving on. This is all part of recovery, guys, so you can do this before, after, on your rest days. You know, a lot of runners could really benefit from loosening up these lower body tissues before they go out for a jog. Okay, don't just head out. Okay, give your body a chance to prepare for it. Okay, after this ITB on this side, guys, we're pretty much done on the lower body. There are some other ones you can do for your lower body. Okay, we can go into those another time. Sometimes with these, if I want to get a bit deeper on a particular area, and I'm only doing this because I've been doing this a while, is I'll relax the muscle, I'll increase the weight on it, and that's really starting to get in deep, and then I'll just turn into it. Okay, if you've got any real tight muscle areas, then this is quite nice at just putting that extra bit of pressure on and focusing on those areas. Now, I won't spend too long on that. If you want to do that, you can pause the video. Okay, so moving on to the back. Okay, we're going to go lower back. Now, it's quite hard to keep it completely relaxed on this, but what you can do is I'd cross your arms over your chest and turn to the side. Okay, this way you can focus on those the muscles going up the side of the spine. Okay, so the spinal erectors. And it's just a little bit of pressure, so put your hand down. And I'm working the big thick muscles that go up and down the side of the spine. I'm not doing them both at the same time, I'm doing right side first. Again, you can spend a minute here. spend a bit longer if you want, or pause and take a bit of a pressure point. Okay, I'm not trying to do the whole back in one go. I'm really just focused on the bottom quarter of the back. Okay, now I'm going to take it over to the other side. Okay, again, control the amount of pressure that you're putting on these areas. You don't want to be in any pain. Mild discomfort is the guide. And if you're a bit more confident and you want to go a bit more into some trigger points, then you can do a bit more than that. But I certainly wouldn't be doing this if it's causing you to grit your teeth. Okay? Okay, you can do a bit on each side of the spine, and then we go into the upper back. This is more with a crossed over. Okay, what we're trying to do is spread the shoulder blades so we can actually get the tissues in between the shoulder blades, your rhomboids, okay, some of your traps in there. Notice I'm constantly adjusting the roller because they have a tendency to take off. Now if I wasn't doing this on camera it wouldn't be a problem, but I've got to try and stay in shot, so I'm constantly trying to adjust the roller to keep it in. This is another variation, get your arms all the way forward. Okay, that's just a really nice way of getting into those upper back. Okay, that's pretty much rolling 101. You can manipulate your back by changing the angles, okay, even on the upper back, and hit the lats. There's lots of variations to this. The world is your oyster when it comes to doing the foam rolling. It's really intuitive, so get creative, spend a bit of time looking after yourself, and